Hello, hello, welcome everyone to another webinar. Today we have a full house, a lot of guest speakers, so will be a lot of fun. So today we are on the webinar number 4 of this series, and we have student spotlight. So a lot of amazing stories to cover. And we're just gonna review what we did so far. So in this January 2025 series, we are celebrating the soil regen community. It's all about you guys. Thank you for helping us shape the future of regen agriculture. And before we dive in on what we covered so far, don't forget to type in the chat, where are you coming from today? We always like to know and see how everyone is spread around the globe. So please don't forget. I'm talking from Oregon, US, but I want to know, where are you coming from today? So in January, our first event was Meet the Soil Regen Experts. We had a lot of good stories. You can always go to our YouTube channel to watch any of those webinars as many times as you want. Every time that you rewatch, you're going to learn a new tip, a new technique. So enjoy that support. And it's a tool, right, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nick is my co-host today, so interject anytime you want, Nick.
Thank you very much indeed, Carl. It's a great privilege to be here and co-hosting with you.
Thank you. And the second webinar, we covered Regen success stories from Malawi. It was a blast. I really, really recommend. It's so inspiring. I'm still trying to absorb the information. It's a really, really amazing project, TN project. I highly encourage you to watch if you didn't yet. The last one was a house party. It was our second one. It's extra fun, so much fun that normally it's scheduled for 2 hours and we stay much longer than that. So if you were not on this first two, I hope to see you in the next one. And today, like I said, we are giving some of our amazing students spotlight. Sorry, I don't want to be rude, but not just you are our spotlights. Fortunately, we can say that we have always hard time to select students for those webinars because everyone brings so much information, so much joy, and so much inspiration. And today we are fortunate to have 4 of them here. Thank you, everyone, for taking your time to be here with us. And as always, after this webinar is done, a couple hours later, this webinar will also be on our YouTube channel. So just to organize the house, we are going to cover the introduction in about 10 minutes. Then each of our students, we're going to have 15 minutes to do their presentation, which the gentleman called Nick, we're going to help us monitoring the time. Thank you, Nick. And after that, we're going to have a short video about the school and our courses, follow up by the Q&A. So a lot of you know this, but it's always good to review, especially for the new ones, the new people join us. You will be muted during the webinar to make sure that everyone can get the best audio as possible from our guest speakers. If you wanna, and please submit your questions via Q&A session. It will be on the bottom bar on your Zoom window. If you don't see that, please type in the chat and someone from the school, from our amazing staff that are here today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all of you, for being on the background, helping us organize and make this webinar as best as we can every single time. And someone will help you there. And use the chat to change ideas, share information, talk about anything you want on soil regen, and above all, enjoy the day. Nick, did I forget anything?
I think you covered everything. I can't wait to listen to our amazing speakers. It's going to be really enjoyable. So I think if we've got nothing else to say, Carla, should we move on to the intros?
Yep. So, Sue, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself for today?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sue, and really happy that you're all here. I'm looking forward to sharing the iCow story and the iCow Soil Advocate story with you.
Thank you, Sue. Robin?
Hi, everybody. I'm Robin, and I'm a soil food web consultant. I just finished my first year being certified, and I'm founded Pott Farms, and I am grateful for all you being here, and I'm looking forward to hearing my co-speakers because I haven't heard what they're going to say yet. So looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank
Robin, that's
you.
great. Thank you very much indeed. Marina, what about you?
Hi, I'm Marina. I'm talking from Brazil. I study and practice permaculture now for more than 15 years. And I also study and practice Korean natural farming. And these studies are going side by side with my study in Soil Food Web School. So I'd like to share a little about my experiences with you.
Fantastic. And Dora, tell us about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Nick. I'm so happy to be in this great company. So I am Dora Tkalec. I am also a certified soul food web consultant, and also since recently have an honor to work with the students as a mentor at the Soil Food Web School. And for the last 4 years, I have been working as a composting expert, lecturer, and project management at one really special vocational school here in Finland called Alman Edu. Happy to hear what others have to say.
Fantastic. Are you going to introduce yourself, Carla?
Yeah, I mean, if you were here before, you know me. I'm Carla. I'm the research lead for the school, instructor, and had the honor to work directly with Elaine for many, many years. And delightfully to always be here. We always learn more than we think and that we expect, which is one of the things I like about the webinars. And what about you, Nick?
Well, as the token male in this amazing lineup we've got tonight. So I'm Nick Padwick, and I've got the privilege of co-hosting with Carla. Soil Food Web Consultant, a bit like Dora, and I have my own business in the UK called Wild Soils.
Thank you so much, Nick. And without further ado, Sue, do you want to share screen with us and start your presentation, please?
Okay. First up, no pressure. Hey. Okay, so hi, everyone. I'm Sue. I'm a passionate regen farmer and educator. I'm the CEO of a company called Green Dreams Tech, and we use farmer-centric approach to building scalable solutions to solve farmers' most pressing problems. Our solutions, services, and products are branded as iCow. Although my career is in agriculture, I didn't study it until 2019, though my first foray into serious ag was in 1997, when I tried to set up a soil-less production system using hydroponics. As you can imagine, the system failed, and I was left with young lettuce seedlings that I put into the soil. Fast track to 2000. Here's a picture of my farm in the highlands of Kenya, a place called Tigoni. Now, after a near fatal incident with pesticides, we chose to follow organic production and built out an organic brand we called Nature's Organics at the time. I also managed a small dairy farm and built an even smaller processing plant on site, 40 cows only, to produce organic and probiotic yogurts and soft cheeses. As my business grew, and due to customer demand, I started learning about and producing organic and free-range poultry, testing the resilience of different breeds when subject to our conditions, our outdoor conditions. We also produced eggs. Up until now, we were delivering our produce to our customers and stores, and as the business grew, it made sense, to just do the next part of the chain to open up our own shop. So we did that too. And this was shortly followed by setting up and supplying our branded shelves and refrigerators in the supermarkets. By 2008, we had our own store and 8 shop-in-shops across Nairobi. To supply such a large market, I'd also started a training program with farmers in different areas across the country. And it was super fun teaching compost making and vermiculture back then, the best way that we knew possible. I also started writing for the Organic Farmers magazine and sharing my trial and error, and there was loads of that, with a wide range of farmers. A little later, I started helping with content for an online portal of farmers' information called Infonet. But the problem was most of our farmers were not connected, and many had very scant access to organic production knowledge. However, many had low-end mobile phones, which presented an interesting challenge of building an extension service for farmers using SMS or IVR. This led to the development of iCow and the realization that this was far more interesting than sales and retail. So I closed the shops and I started a technology company. For the next 9 years, and with a wonderful team, Team iCow, we built a formidable e-extension agricultural platform with innovative services and tools for farmers. Today, iCow is available on low end as well as smartphones and is used by thousands of farmers across Africa. This is a picture of Team iCow. Hey guys, big shout out to you. You rock, seriously. Our processes and data showed us and led us to the realization that failed soils were the underlying cause of farmers' main problems. 10% of Kenya's agricultural land is classified as arable. Sorry, 10% of the land, not the agricultural land. And 63% of that 10% is acidic. And it's resulting in increased pest and disease pressure and declining yields. It required that we do something about it. And that required that we did a deep dive into soil health. So we started looking online for material. By the end of August 2019, we came across the brilliant movie by Kiss the Ground, The Soil Story. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's really amazing. It really does make the penny drop on so fronts about our soils and the problems that we've caused and the drivers behind climate change. I knew that I wanted to host a story on the iCow smartphone app, so I reached out to their team, and 4 months later, it was up and available to our farmers. I'm so humbled by them allowing us to use their content. I also stumbled across the Soil Food Web webinars the first time that year. So that was 2019, and then COVID hit. And like most countries, there was a shutdown and Team iCow went into virtual operations. We're lucky being a tech team, it wasn't that difficult. In 2021, I took the Kiss the Ground online soil advocacy course, and while I was taking it, it just dawned on me that this information needed to go straight out to farmers. So I started thinking of ways of starting up an iCow soil advocacy program. The following month, we started the iCow Border soil advocacy course, reaching out to women and men motorcycle riders with an intention of training them on soil health through a program designed to engage women in their household and community members in the training. I was following everything I could about the Soil Food Web online, and by November 2021, guess what? I bought myself a microscope. And then in December, I broke my leg. And that was actually the best part of everything, because I lay in bed for 3 months with my microscope, 15 hours a day, looking through soils and composts. In March 2022, I was awarded a Soil Food Web scholarship, and I paced through it. And then in June 2022, I took the Soil Food Web Lab Tech course. I was blown away by all the new learning and sharing with my knowledge and my students in the iCow Soil Advocacy course, which seemed to be growing by word of mouth. Every class ended with a waiting list for a new class. To all the iCow Soil Advocates in the room, another big, massive shout out. You guys seriously rock as well. We did some fun things back there. We designed a program with the International Livestock Research Institute. I tried to get them to house the livestock under the ground. It didn't work though. We collected and tested soils, compost, and vermiculture from our first group, and we invited them to Nairobi for a 2-day get-together on the Ilri campus. It was very special. And the first time the class members from across Kenya met each other. We even held a microbial award ceremony, trophies and all, for those that had the best beneficial microbe numbers in their samples. Makueni County, home to 1 million Kenyans, shout out to you guys, 80% of whom are engaged in agriculture, won the community award. Sammy, I know you're in the group and I know that you led this process. They took the trophy on a microbe safari from village to village, like the Olympic torch, the microbial torch teaching communities to compost along the way. Meanwhile, many of my students were applying for and granted Soil Food Web scholarships. One in particular, Paul, paced through the course in just 3 to 5 weeks. And this week, just one of our oldest community members, Mr. Peter Owino, an advocate from the first group, was awarded his Soil Food Web Foundation course certificate. Peter is 80, a testament to us all that learning is a lifelong journey. On his behalf and on behalf of all our community who've been awarded Soil Food Web scholarships, I'd like to express our sincere appreciation to Dr. Elaine Ingham and the Soil Food Web team. Thank you so much from all of us. Your teachings are transformational. Here are some pictures from another student fortunate enough to get a FC scholarship, Maureen Miner. She's 29. She's blazing a trail in regenerative ag powered by biocomplete compost in her community. I mean, look at that for food security, hey? It's not just in Kenya. The next picture is Ipa, a student in Burundi who took our course, and he took it to another level too. He's trained over 350 farmers and he didn't stop there. He's translated the ICAO soil advocacy content into his local language and has trained and certified 50 Burundi soil advocates in their system. Ipa, big shout out to you and all the soil advocates in Burundi. You can see in the picture of his certificates there, we're all so familiar now with the Soil Food Web picture, right? I was told us it would come again and again and again, and now it's coming up on certificates. Our soil advocacy class has grown and now spans over 25 countries on the African continent. Our current class has over 390 students enrolled. The soil story is spreading. Here are some pictures taken from the work of the students during their compost making homework. That's dedication. This spans the continent, not. Oh, and this is so cool. If you don't have the kit, you improvise and you innovate. And there's one of the farms. What changed my perspective on soil health was a Soil Food Web course. The narrative of soils being alive that I'd been learning about for years finally made sense. I could see living proof under the microscope. I believe that most farmers would feel the same. And so in June 2020, we started the journey to develop a fleet of experts who could identify the microbes and show farmers in their community. We started with 10 students, 5 who'd passed the Soil Food Web foundational course, and 5 young women from her lab in West Pott who passed my course. This successful training resulted in 4 microscopes in the field and will be the basis of our centers of soil excellence, hopefully in the coming years. I was extremely lucky to be granted a scholarship for the consultancy training program offered by the Soil Food Web School. Once again, to Elaine and your team, thank you so much. The program requires I do a final project. Whilst I'm contemplating what that would be, I'm experimenting on ideas. My recent experiment involved comparing 10 types of compost and 3 types of soil in a polyculture germination test. Of the compost I trialed, 2 are from failed piles and 6 from successful biocomplete piles, as per my Soil Food Web learnings. Of the soils, 1 was my own, where historically I used biocomplete compost and extracts, mulching and polycropping. 1 was from a vertical garden where bioslurry and compost are used. The compost has a low pH and is dry and very microbially poor under the microscope. The 3rd one was from a garden that had the same treatment as a vertical tower. And this is what the experiment looked like after 2 weeks. This was a failed compost. It had overheated, had chimneys put in it, and after cooling and moving to a curing area, adding a little moisture, it fired up again. In total, it was turned over 7 times. It was very black, it looked burnt. The maize seedlings seemed to have fungal disease on them and were fairly stunted compared to the others. This was a successful compost. Germination was great. Size was great. No real issues, no stunting. This was another failed compost. Same thing as a previous fail, but without the diseases. Stunting and poor germination, slow germination. This successful compost also had good germination, strong growth, and no stunting. My soil didn't look too bad either. The vertical garden soil looked different. The roots were so dark and hairy, searching but not finding nutrients maybe. The second soil sample roots were even hairier. The plants were stunted. I terminated the experiment after 2 weeks and put all the plants in my garden to grow. One thing I've learned here is the importance of biocomplete compost. Good compost is better than failed compost at germination stage anyway. This little experiment has made me ponder what I'll do for my final project that will show proof and have an impact on food and nutrition security for farmers in Africa faced with the challenges of climate change. I love that I'm able to have this conversation with my mentor, my soil food web mentor, and brainstorm ideas based on our unique crops, conditions, growing, and other unique African parameters. So a big shout out to Aishan and to my past mentors, Adrian and Maria. The future: to climate-proof African farmer systems through soil health and encourage and inspire the youth to take agency of the inheritance of their soil and not dirt. I think we all need to think really, really big and to do things, especially now where time is not on our side. I feel that seeing is believing, and that the soil food web approach opens many opportunities of employment for our youth on the African continent and transformation of our production systems and health from the soil up. I think dedicated centers of soil excellence may be part of the solution, and I'm planning to prototype same. The model is seemingly simple: a lab, trained soil lab technicians, trained elite soil extension providers, and a flow of information, support, and data between them all. I'm excited about the future, a system that creates transparency, accountability, and agency for soil health. On behalf of the ICAO soil advocacy community, I'd like to appreciate all that the Soil Food Web has done for those of us that have benefited from scholarships, and have a few points that I'd like to forward on our behalf. I speak for the community. We'd be honored to have Dr. Elaine Ingham address the ICAO soil advocacy community during one of our webinar classes or our classes. We request if the Soil Food Web course costs could be adjusted to the Global South, including more scholarships too. We would love to have a Soil Food Web mentorship program on the continent, training mentors from the continent. And that's the end. Thank you. Thank you all for watching, listening. I did it on time. I've got 20 seconds left, Nick.
Well, Sue, thank you so much for that. And you're absolutely right. You were going so well, I didn't want to interrupt with a 2-minute warning. And I could see you were wrapping up. So that was incredible. Thank you.
Pleasure.
I could see Nick's face is just like, should I go? Should I not? So nice timing. Thank you so much.
I won't be as gentle with the others as I was with you, Sue. Thank you.
Come on. Okay. So can you guys see my screen?
Mhm.
Yep. So Robin, it's your time now.
Okay, let's start that. Hi, everybody. Again, my name is Robin Pott, and I am the co-founder of Pott Farms, which is in Willis, Michigan, which is near Detroit. And we are an educational regenerative hemp farm, and we produce a variety of hemp products for sale and for research. And so, let's see if I can change this. My story is a little bit different. Sue, amazing work, very inspiring. I have the same motivations as you do. I'm just doing it a little bit, come from a different background, doing it in a different, really focused on cannabis and the potential around cannabis, but really focused on youth. So at my core, I'm a youth advocate. And I've been focused on improving the lives of young people who have experienced trauma and poverty for the past more than 30 years. I'm an academic who turned into a farmer. I'm a lawyer and I'm a public policy researcher. But how did I end up a soil health professional? So about 10 years ago, I was at the University of Michigan Law School, and my funded projects were about to end in 18 months. And so I had to figure out what my next grant cycle was going to be. And I was really kind of open-minded about what I wanted to do next. And through a lot of searching, I decided it was a good time to transition away from academics. There are lots of reasons for that, but my main reason was I really did not feel like I was impacting directly the lives of the young people that I really cared about. So when I was a lawyer, I used to joke I would have been a gardener if I hadn't gone to law school. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to do next, I knew two things. I knew I wanted to spend most of my time in nature, working, cultivating living things. I knew that's kind of how I wanted to spend the bulk of my days. And then secondly, I knew I wanted to work directly with young people and help them transition successfully into adulthood. So trying to figure out how to combine those two things, I decided, let's start a farm. And what kind of farm, right? I chose cannabis. It was a very obvious choice for me. For one, it was 2015. Legalization was really ramping up here, especially in my state, Michigan. And in cannabis has, endless possibilities and opportunity that just aren't tapped yet. And then secondly, I am a medical patient, a medical cannabis patient. I knew the medical value of the plant. So that was like not a question in my mind. But thirdly, this was the important part. The young people that I work with come from communities and families who are directly impacted by the Prohibition era. We now have multi-generational harm done from the arrests, the seizure, the asset seizures, the incarceration, the police violence. And this is what I saw in my work as a lawyer and a public policy researcher in child welfare and juvenile justice. So thinking about cannabis, I believe strongly that the benefits of the new industry in part need to flow to the young people who inherited the harm done by prohibition. So that's, in 2015, that was my idea. I was leaving academics and I was starting this farm. Fast forward to 2019, hemp becomes legally, we could grow hemp legal throughout the United States, and we jumped at the opportunity. We were on track to get a medical marijuana license, and we just abandoned that, went all in on hemp. That first season, we didn't have our farm yet. We found a land partner. He had 10 acres of fallow fields, and it was sandy and early successional plants. And so we decided to haul in a bunch of really good compost from a local biodynamic producer. And we built little hills and we planted each hemp plant in these hills. And we had a great season, great success with that. So by the end of the season, I knew we had to figure out how to make our own compost. So the crop was in and secure. And in December, I started researching how to make compost and finding general content that didn't really explain how to make it well or why you want to make it a certain way or why it works until, probably a familiar story, I found Dr. Elaine's videos on YouTube and instantly knew that that was what I was looking for. And so I signed up and finished the courses in the winter of 2020 in time to use that in our season that year. And so we made our own compost with mixed results, and we were using it and we were making extracts. But by the end of the first season, I knew I was still kind of operating on incomplete information, right? So I decided to sign up to become a lab tech. And that winter, that's what I did. Was certified as a lab tech that spring in 2021 and decided that, just to diversify revenue, I would offer these services to other farmers. And this is how I got to be a consultant. And I knew immediately, starting to work with clients, that there was such a great need for education. I was working with a diverse group of clients. One was a vermicomposter who was 3 years into his company and never encountered this information. One was an 80-year-old third-generation farmer who'd never encountered this information, and he was trying to transition his farm to the next generation and help them repair the soil. And so I even started working with some indoor cannabis grows and who were trying to do the right thing, trying to use living soil, and they're just like ill-equipped with the knowledge to do that safely. And so, and plus in 2021, we were far enough along that we piloted our first cohort of young people in our training program. So I wanted the credentials to kind of build that program up. So I signed up to be a consultant, finished the program, fast forward to we have our own farm. The training program is in place, and the success of our farm is firmly rooted in the soil food web method. And the ways in which these trainings, by training as a consultant, impact our farm is that we're fully regenerative hemp. We only use compost and compost extracts in addition to other regenerative methods like no-till, cover cropping, mulching, that kind of thing. Let's see here. And what I also like about soil food web is that it fits nicely into other natural farming methods. You know, we were already practicing biodynamics. We already had designed the farm using permaculture principles. It just helped us succeed even more following those principles. I also, being a lawyer and a data scientist, absolutely loved that it was science-based. I love being able to explain what we're doing that's based in evidence, soil science evidence. And this, as we build our company, lends quickly to our credibility as we meet people and kind of spread the word about what we're doing. In the United States, it's kind of like, first level of demonstrating you're a good farm is USDA organic. Totally helped with certification. It made it easier. We didn't have to explain our, how we're handling dangerous inputs and things like that. It really made that process simple. It also makes what we're teaching, because we're an educational farm, accessible. And this is really key to how the soil food web helps us succeed, is that these methods are accessible. You can adjust them for physical capability. It's interesting, it's understandable, it's not complicated, and it's easy to teach. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But most importantly, and this is what I always stress when I kind of teach about the soil food web, is that it works. We have 6 seasons of experience heading into our 7th. Part of my consultant training, I was interested in seeing if you increase the fungal bacteria ratio, would that improve yields in cannabis? And my presentation for my research is available online on the farm's website. So I won't go into the details of what we did, but you can find it on our Living Soil Services webpage. But, punchline, clearly it works. We experienced a 33% increase in yield, which is our dried cannabis flower, when we were able to use compost extract to bring the soil up to a balanced fungal to bacteria ratio. And then, let's see, full circle, back to why we started the farm, our supportive job training. Being grounded in the soil food web method is integral to the success of our training program. So let's see here, make sure I'm catching. So I work with young people who are between the ages of 18 and 24, right? And they come from difficult backgrounds. Think child welfare, think, foster kids, experienced homelessness, those kinds of things. And they come with a sense of hopelessness, not just about their own future, but about the world's future. Like, what's the point? Everything's broken. These problems are insolvable. We are inheriting just a world that's ending, right? Then they come to the farm and they learn these biological approaches to growing, and they see, get in touch with nature and their capabilities. And, there's a saying, hope is our greatest harvest. And that's very, very true for our farm. These young people are going away with a sense that there are paths forward, they are accessible, and they can be part of that, and that the problems that they thought were unsolvable might just have solutions. So, and that's all because of the school's trainings and how this, the methods that we rely on. And then some of the other benefits, I think I already touched on these. They're easily understood. Education is a challenge for these young people. Being able to participate in meaningful work without having to have an education, that helps. They get to live an active and healthy lifestyle, being able to be active and be impactful in what they're doing. Here's another trend that I come across with these young people is that they're looking for an alternative to the status quo. They don't want to participate in the systems that got us here in the first place. They don't want to work at a job, working hard to buy things they don't need that harm the environment. All of this aligns with their values. And then the next generation of farmers. So what we're doing here at the farm is just the soil food web just has made it all possible, but I didn't know that that was going to be a key piece when we started our farm. But I also want to spend a little bit of time about our challenges, and I'll speak specifically about cannabis, but you can, these issues trying to kind of translate across agriculture. And so in America, in the United States, there are entrenched bad practices in my industry. There's an antimicrobial mindset that inspires people to attempt to create sterile growing environments. And when you know the soil food web and you understand how it works, that's, a recipe for trouble. And that's exactly what you see in the industry, problems of their own making. So I have some pictures here. This is Michigan. This is dozens of acres covered in black plastic year round. This is an accredited college program on teaching how to grow cannabis. It's indoor. They're in completely covered in surgical personal protection gear. If it is grown outside, there's absolutely no ground cover or it's covered in plastic. And then there's also this bad reputation that comes with sun grown that's being promulgated by those invested in this high intensity growing conditions. And so it's very difficult for us to do what we want to do under these factors. So this is our mindset. And I came across
Robin,
this.
Robin, you've got 2 minutes left. Sorry.
I'm on my way to finishing up. I have my little
Thanks.
timer here too. I appreciate it. Wrapping up, mindset. I came across this quote early on when we were starting the company. You can never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And that's what that's been our strategy in cannabis. And so this is what our farm looks like. Complete ground cover year round, integrated pest management. There's a butterfly there. We are excited to see predatory insects and spiders. It's a beautiful place to work. I mean, if you're a farmer, would you want to work indoors under lights, protecting yourself from head to toe from the God-given plant, or this way of farming? So we're just building a model that we believe in with the hope and faith that this will be the prevailing cannabis system moving forward eventually. So we're still building our company. The last 2 years, we've had 8-week internships twice a year. And so most of my time I'm doing other things. Living soil services, I spend time with clients providing services. We are part of transition to organic mentoring. I mentor young farmers through the USDA program. We participate in research. So we're just trying to find our way. But being rooted in soil food web is key. And in my experience, there is such a great need. So for example, my USDA auditors, we've been certified 2 years. Both years, neither of them fully understood how we grew. And 1 year, the auditor had never heard of Dr. Elaine Ingham or the Soil Food Web. And my state, Michigan, has its own environmental assurance program that takes about a year to accomplish. Throughout that year, every time an accreditor, auditor came, we had to explain our biological approach. They didn't understand it. So if you're out there wondering if this is a right career path, there is such a great need to be trained and get involved in this transition. Let's figure out how to farm in balance with nature. Let's figure out how to repair our systems. And there is such a great need. I see it every day. I'm often the only one, if not always, the one in these conversations with this knowledge. So great demand, great work, great people. This is how you contact me. It's my email, our website, and then we have different accounts on these 4 sites. I'm leaning more and more towards Substack. So,
Robin, I'm gonna have to stop you there.
I'm done.
That was amazing. You've eaten into 2 minutes of my time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's brilliant.
I appreciate it.
It was great. It's so hard to try and stop people from showing their passion with everything they do. So
Yeah.
really appreciate you being here with us today and sharing everything you're doing with us. It's just incredible. So thank you so much. So Carla, who's next?
Yeah, so now we have Marina from Brazil, which I have the honor and a pleasure to introduce. Marina.
Hi, Carla. It's my honor and my pleasure. I'm honored to be here. I never thought it would be even possible to me, but now I am delighted to be here with you all and very honored. My pleasure. So I'm talking from Brazil. I am a big fan of Dr. Elaine's work and her Soil Food Web School, because I came to know Dr. Ingham's work because I've been a permaculturist since 2007, working on creating sustainable systems, permanent systems that require minimal energy and minimal external inputs. This is my obsession, like creating something that can work by itself, feeding off the living process of nature, because in our society we have this problem of we are high cost in energy, and this is what we know what's happening because of this. And you see in this picture of 2013, it's my home, and it was building this desertified area with sandy soil. I know what is a system that came to that got exhausted by humans' process. And then it was a sandy soil, a desertified area affected by annual wildfires, extensive grazing. There was no organic horizon here, and the soil lacked clay because it's part of a river basin. I know the very old river basin, and now there is no water, but the sand is there, continuous being there. And then since we didn't have access to plenty of water, we had few access to water because we have a community here that uses the same system, the same water system. Our work focused on speeding up the natural succession. We have here Ernest Gotch, the father of the agroforestry syntropic systems, and then we started following his method of speeding up the succession by using native trees as pioneer species, pruning them and providing organic matter and planting hardy perennial exotics, which is Bill Mollison's approach. And then we didn't want to use inorganic fertilizers or toxic chemicals. And then our crops took a while to produce. We had a lot of problems until we got to know Doctor's Elaine approach. And we decided to create before that, before knowing Dr. Elaine, we had some results like using small systems like lakes and algae with fish. And it was near these areas that we began to create fertility islands. And so you can go next, please. Well, I'm Marina Utsch. I'm a single mother. I was a single mother at 24 when I was 24. And then although I am a journalist, I wanted to go to the countryside and raise my child in the countryside. I made the choice to move to establish a productive space and become a father, but the condition of the soil I acquired required more knowledge and financial investment than I had 15 years ago. I'm very passionate, as I said, about some ideas I learned from Bill Mollison, like the idea that a permaculturist is a scientist embedded in a living experimentation process. So I think that is why I began to be very passionate about Dr. Elaine also, because she follows these same ideas. I observe that her approach is like that. It's science, but science at observing and interacting, which is a permaculture principle. We observe and interact until we begin to understand how the living system works. I've been applying this since I decided to leave the city after I graduated journalism, but as a mother without financial support, as I said, from my first child's father, I thought it would be better to raise my child in the countryside and be happy alongside nature. It's like the dream. And then this dream also sometimes got like a nightmare for many of us that we call, like, I don't know how you say it in English, but we say here in Brazil, novos rurais. How could I say this, Carla, novos rurais in English?
I think like new growers, something on that realm. New farmers, new growers,
new farmers, new countries, the ones who leave the big cities and go to the farm to be like in the nature.
Or we can call them clever people, I think.
Well, I wanted to live this dream, but but thank God, like living it started to I had to face it, and then it's just why I am what I am today, because I had to like face the desert and say I will have to turn the desert to a Eden, to a garden, to a paradise. You know, I had to face it because I didn't have an option after I did this choice when 15 years ago. Next, please. It was a huge struggle to survive this way with very few financial resources, but I don't regret it. Living in an environment with very limited fertility made me come up with what I consider to be high technology for soil recovery and food production. And the highest one is Dr. Elaine approach. During this time, I also remarried and had my second daughter. We survived by working for the third sector on social projects that I wrote for small founders like Brazil Foundation, continuing research with low-cost applied social technologies. We needed to be very focused on low cost because we didn't have grants to do big stuff and to invest. Survival technologies for extreme situations like water scarcity and desertification. Even though this is a tropical region where growing bananas is very easy, I never had water enough or organic matter in my soil to cultivate them. It was then that I focused on reusing the gray water from the house and finally using products without petrochemicals and the warm filter technique. I started to grow some vigorous and high quality edible plants. As I learned later, the problem of the warm filter using gray water, my worms are great. My worms, they don't get like bad because of the soap, like because it's from my sink and my washing, you know, and then I use soap, but I use natural soap that I made with eco enzymes. But even then, I know, as Elaine explained, that it's the salty water, and sometimes this salt can affect the plants. But I got a balance there where with this knowledge I learned from the school, where my plants are very vigorous. I have here some passion fruit. They grow in my gray water, in reused water from my house, and also tomatoes. I am having a great harvest on tomatoes because using gray water. And natural building and restoration of degraded soils with sectional syntropic agroforestry systems. These are part of my services that I started to do to my community, to share with my community also. Next, please. Designing the flow of rainwater and surface runoff on the property to increase water infiltration into the soil also helped a lot. It also helps a lot to desertify the areas, to design the runoff of the water. And then I managed to create a grass planing, a pasture planing, you know, this grass and cover crops using just this passive irrigation technique. And since then, the availability of organic matter to cover my soil, the soil of my property, has not been a problem. And then people from university started to visit our property. We started to go to teach the techniques, like with low grants, small grants we received. We started to travel to teach all these techniques, these permaculture techniques. Next, please. And I started to be invited to participate in local community projects as a technical expert in agroforestry systems. And I also taught permaculture courses in my state, also too, because here in my region, we all face this reality of soils that are very poor nowadays, after lots of years being used in this unresponsible way, you know, using the soil with no respect. So we have this problem here. The farmers, the little farmers are facing this problem. And so I started to, in some projects, I started to share this knowledge also. The respect for the soil, the permaculture approach. And later, next slide. I start later, which is from some years from now ago, I started to put the knowledge I learned with Dr. Elaine also in my consulted work. After hosting and participating in a Korean natural farming course on my property and completing the foundation course at the Soil Food Web School, me and a friend, because we don't do these things alone, we co-founded an enterprise that produces fermented products for household cleaning. So that's why I can use the worm filter in my house without killing my worms, because I don't clean my house with with toxic chemicals. I clean my house with with enzymes. And also we started making organic fertilizers with respect for water and soil regenerations. In recent years, I've observed that agroforest systems and acceleration of natural process in desertified and friable environments. My problem here is the friable environment, which is not the friable environment is not an environment that is good, that is easy to create fungal life. And I observed that the process, like just like trying to accelerate the succession, it's slow because we have times with times when there is a lack of rain. It's dry time, which its extent.
Marina,
And
Marina, you have, sorry to disturb you. You have 2 minutes, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Sorry.
So that let me resume my experience with Korean natural farming and applying Korean natural farming enzymes, capturing microorganisms, and also experimenting Elaine's approach. I started to mix it all, and then it is going well, because doing this is we are having great results here in my house. I can see the fungal life now here, even in the dry season I can see the fungal life getting amounts of fungal life growing here, even in the dry season, like the mycorrhizal, I forgot how to say in English, mycorrhizas, where I see mycorrhizas here. Next
Yeah.
slide.
You got it.
Michael, please, Carla.
Mycorrhizal, you got it. It's close enough.
Okay. And also, I'm as a consultant in natural agriculture and permaculture. I have also this knowledge in communication, and because I'm a journalist, and so I like to use this knowledge as popular education, just like Su. I had a lesson here with Su, and I think I don't need to talk about it. I just have to learn about it now. But I have this. I try to do this also. And I certainly need to do it more, as I saw Su speaking. Thank you. Oh, in the next slide, my contact information. Let's stay in touch. That's it.
The last bit there is really important as well, to stay in touch, because that's just utterly amazing project you're doing there, Maria, and yeah, just really fantastic. Thank you very much indeed for sharing that with us. Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, as a Brazilian as well, I have to say that I know the region Marina lives, and her work is really a paradise in the middle of desert. So Marina, I had the honor to be in a presentation with you before, and it's just my absolute pleasure be here with you again and just see how much you advanced since the last time we talked. So thank you so much for the beautiful work you are doing. And I highly encourage you guys to sneak peek on her Instagram. Is precious, full of tips and techniques. And without further ado, Dora, it's your turn. Do you want to share your screen or you want me to
Yes,
keep?
I will
Yeah.
share my
Okay.
my
Thank you.
PowerPoint slideshow. So I have to say that I'm super impressed, and my heart is full from all of the presentations I just heard. It's just unbelievable what women can do in their communities. Oh, okay. So I have to say once more that I'm happy to be in this company. Like I said, I am Dora Tkalec. I am tuning in from a complete different side of the globe, from Finland, dark and cold Finland. I have moved here 5.5 years ago. I'm actually Croatian. So as I said, I am a certified soul food web consultant and working with the students as a mentor. My background is in education, so I'm really happy to kind of connect these two passions of mine. And like I said, I have spent the last 4 years working as a composting expert, lecturer, and project manager at Alman Edu. So Alman Edu is a vocational school that I'm going to soon talk about. So there I was working on developing the composting process and composting facility for the school needs. And overall, I have a mission to kind of develop the school as a composting and biological management, soil biological management hub. So yes, like I said, my background is in education. I am actually a Croatian language teacher, but my heart wanted me to do something else, and so I involved myself in gardening and in permaculture. And so I guess 15, 17 years ago that happened, where I just wanted to know everything. And I was, for the last 17 years, was working towards finding and implementing solutions for, healthier food, more sustainable food systems, cleaner environment. And only when I moved to Finland 5.5 years ago, I saw my opportunity to get involved actually in the soil food web training. And then at the same time, I immediately found this vocational school that is in the middle of the city where I live in, Tampere. When I just came there and I saw cows in the middle of the city, and I said, okay, this is a good place to search for work. So I was very brave and I said who I am, and I can make you a good compost. And this is how this collaboration started. And the kind of motivation for me to stop working with with the languages, even though I really like them, is my kind of passion for, I grew up in Croatia, and I was a little girl when Croatia was a part of Yugoslavia, which was kind of closed up state. And most of the food, or 100% of the food, was grown locally. And then when Croatia became independent in the 1991, we got open to the import. And I have personally witnessed the decline in food quality that was being imported. And that with that also decline or diminishment of the local food production, which was very good. Yes, but now I'm here, and who knows, maybe one day I will go back to Croatia and do my work there. But so, like I said, Alman Edu is a Finnish agricultural vocational school that is also a dairy farm in the middle of the city, just a few kilometers from the city center. It's a beautiful place. And the dairy farm, which is also serves as a school farm, Alman Edu leads a program of preserving Finn cattle gene bank, and it also acts as a regional rural development center where I worked as a project manager. And our school also celebrated 120 years of existence and received the Green Flag Award, for example, for its beautifully and biologically managed landscapes. And during the course of the 4 years I have been working there, we have developed also 1,000 square meter showcase No Dig Market Garden, and which is a great teaching environment with my dear colleague Oskar Pikarainen. And also, of course, we developed composting process and composting facility. So over the past few years, we have developed this bulletproof compost recipe that works, and then we translated it in the larger scale composting operation. So we purchased compost turner. So now we can relatively easily produce enough compost to serve the school's needs. And so we create this beautiful, beautiful microbe abundant soil amendment. We use mostly cow manure, a little bit of rabbit manure, hay, silage, green waste from prunings and from the garden, wood chips, spent mushroom growing medium from the local mushroom producer, and a little bit of compost every time from the previous batch as an additional inoculum. And the microbiological results are great with our compost. So it has abundance of fungal biomass, diversity of protozoa and nematodes, and we use it to take care of the garden and also for many experiments we did on the school's estate, but also in collaboration with local farmers, landscaping professionals, city's tree nursery, and things like that. And then again, of course, we also tried to develop our own compost tea bioreactor, as we call it, where we make extracts and teas to apply on fields. And so the last year we started this conventionally managed fodder field test. This is also Alman, and where this field has been conventionally managed for like decades, and weeds thrive. There is a need to re-sow the field every few years, and there are bare ground in places. It's there is a compaction layer like 25-30 centimeters deep, some water logging in the lower places, and it's very bacterially dominated soil, like almost no fungal biomass and no protozoa and nematodes. And this is a classic thing that I find in most of the agricultural soils here in this part of Finland, unfortunately. So basically, this is a really specific project that will continue over the next few years, where I'm trying to figure out how to wean off that soil from mineral fertilizers. So basically, I have a control plot and I have a trial plot where we use compost and compost extract, but then also we add a little bit of mineral fertilizers just to not shock the plants very much. And what we saw in the first year was less yield on the plot treated with biology, but with slightly better nutrient content, which is very interesting to see. But yeah, so how I began there, I had this pasture trial. I started making compost and wanted to try it somewhere. So we have 8 hectares of pasture land around the school. And so on this pasture, the field that I was treating with the compost and compost extract was this really like bare, heavily compacted patch where I would put some of the extract every time I would go and apply the extract on the field. And during that time, microorganisms, during that season, microorganisms did their job, and that bare patch just began to heal. But it was super heavily compacted, you know, like you couldn't put the penetrometer inside at all. So, you know, like weed and grass plants started to grow little by little. And fast forward to this last season, I just came there. I haven't treated that place since 2022 at all. And you cannot even see the difference between that, where was that patch and the surrounding grass. So that was really nice to see, because I was when I was doing my first trials, before I was even a CTP student, I didn't know what I was doing. And I was so happy to see that something like visually that you can see the difference, which was very, very encouraging. So I mentioned this, our no-dig market garden that we have at school. which grows beautiful local varieties of vegetables, and we have a lot of flowers, and it's a really kind of a insect hub of the estate. And since we do use compost and extracts on the garden, but we never really followed the difference, like regularly what is happening. We didn't check the soil or anything. So I decided for my final project to be that on a carrot experiment on carrots in that garden. So I was very happy to see really big difference in seed germination rates and vigor of plants that were treated with compost extract and compost. And I had really good results that resulted the vigor and the strength of the plants, it was reflected in the yield. So there was 41% difference in yield, and also 33% difference in number of carrots, and 6.5% difference in average carrot weight between the trial and control plot. And then I also had, I'm going through my presentation really quickly. I hope everybody's catching. You can always also ask me things, but I have so many things to say, and I didn't even include everything I was working on. So bear with me. So I wanted to also try, how does this bioactive compost, we call it bioactive compost, but biologically complete compost, how it will serve the, how do you say, engineered soil. So this was a perennial flower beds trial where I treated 1/3 with compost extract, 1/3 was treated conventionally with mineral fertilizers in the spring, and then we had the control plot as well. And over time, after every time I would apply extract, I would check the soil biology, and I would see that over time the bacterial biomass diminished because I managed to inoculate the soil with the beneficial protozoa and the nematodes, and the F/B ratio changed over time to almost balanced. And like over time also the fungal biomass grew significantly. And it was also interesting to see how actually in the mineral fertilizer, where I put mineral fertilizers at the beginning, actually the fungal biomass actually diminished, declined, and then it kind of recuperated after a while throughout the season. Okay, but what motivates me the most is to try and find some kind of win-win solution for the untapped potential of animal manure on farms. Because I mean, in Finland solely, there is millions of tons of manure produced every year, and only a fraction of that gets to be actually composted, uncomposted well. And on the other hand, we have a decline in soil fertility, water pollution, eutrophication. I mean, the Baltic Sea is one of the most polluted seas in the world. And there we are living in this, paradox of manure being a problem when it can become actually a solution. So I designed and got funded for a project through which I worked with 4 farms to develop their own composting recipes and their own composting processes, and also to trial the compost on the farms. So we had 4 farmers joining and making the compost trials, and of those 4 farms, 2 also had time to do the trials as well. So
2 minutes, Dora, 2 minutes.
Oh my God. Okay, so I did another carrot experiment with the farmers, and also got equally great results. So I wanted to check how does their usual aged chicken manure bedding works as opposed to bioactive compost that we provided for them. And we had really good results in yield, and also those carrots, some of those carrots got affected with the Erwinia carotovara, so this soft rot. But interesting, on trial plot, only 18% of those the carrots got affected, as when you compare to the control plot, it was 43% of carrots that got this soft rot. So I would say that we could say maybe that the carrots from the trial plot were more resilient. And we also tested those for nutrient content, and carrots from the trial plot had more of some nutrients. And we managed to increase fungal biomass to the desired range, and also protozoa and the bacterial biomass kind of diminished a little bit as well. Okay, I will just shortly say that I was working also with the tree nursery, and this is also an ongoing experiment that I have inoculated with mycorrhizal inoculation that I myself grew in the school, and I have yet to see what is happening there. But so all the work I have done, and I showcase here more or less, everything was supported and financed by the EU or through the Finnish national funding schemes. So the possibilities of developing a person's career as a soil food web consultant that offers compost-based solutions, there are numerous, in my opinion. And now that we have all EU soil strategy, and the funding is kind of going in that direction, we are kind of officially aware of the importance the soil has on our futures, or the quality of air and water and food. So, and the strategies are being developed on international level. So I believe that now is the time of implementing these solutions, and the soil food web method is one of the solutions. And of course, and collaboration. So the same as the plants and microbes do, we are also not any different. We are stronger together. We have to collaborate. So Ma Academia is a cooperative that just got established. I'm one of the funding members, and it consists of Finnish experts in regenerative agriculture, agroecology, organic farming, holistic management, permaculture, biological soil management. And it offers an alternative to conventional agricultural service providers in Finland. So we expect really great things to grow from that collaboration. And I would just finish with the quote from Rodale's completed book of composting, which I really, really like, that nothing is more fundamental to man's prosperity, to civilization, than lasting productive agriculture. And this can stem only from using up the most primary or respecting the most primary of natural laws, which is law of cycling nutrients. So composting, people. Thank you.
Dora,
I'm done.
thank you very much indeed. You were galloping on over the last few seconds, weren't you, to try and get all that?
Yes, I did. This was okay. This was good. I hope people got something from it.
Under pressure when you know there's 15 minutes and I'm the timekeeper. But
Yes.
well done. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to all our speakers for some absolutely inspiring projects. I mean, don't you agree, Carla? Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. I mean, we are surrounded by Wonder Womans today. So thank you. It's just like, I'm in awe. It's just like every single second, and oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So thank you for sharing. Yeah.
And you just don't know what's going on out there, do you? And this should be voiced a lot more than we're probably doing so, because just inspiration, all of you are just fantastic. And it's a privilege to co-host with you, to listen to all this amazing work that you're all doing.
I totally agree, Nick. And to give us a couple seconds to absorb and internalize all this energy, all this knowledge, we're gonna watch a small video from the school, and I hope you guys enjoy. Give me just 1 second, make sure I'm gonna have the sound.
And then we're coming back with questions, aren't we, Carla?
Yes, we will come back with questions.
Fantastic. Yeah. So everyone stay tuned for questions, please.
Yeah, Sammy, I will try to run because my computer is not letting me select the sound now, but let me know if you guys can hear or not.
Benefit of being in the Soil Food Web School is you learn a lot of tips and tricks. It taught me what good compost was and what good biology was.
What I've learned, one of the big key things for me is that plants don't need to be fed. With the microbes, they are able to feed themselves and supply themselves everything that they need from the soil.
We were spending way too much money on fertilizer, and just the consistency from year to year was just not there for us.
AgroPura was a farm that reached out to us, really struggling to work within a conventional system. The yields were quite low, so we were able to see over 100% yield increases.
For me, it's about trying to leave this soil better than when I found it, so my children don't have to go through some of the challenges that I've had to.
If you're interested in rapidly regenerating your soil, now is the perfect time. Our January special offer has been extended through February 6th because we have continued to receive interest from folks who missed out. We won't be extending this offer again, and there are just a few places left in the 2025 registration cycle, so please act quickly if you don't want to miss out. We've listened to feedback and requests for intensive training in compost production and microscopy at an affordable price point, and we've created a new training program that delivers. With the Regenerative Farmer Package, you can register for the Soil Food Web Foundation courses with Dr. Elaine Ingham for just $31.99, saving over $1,800. You'll receive over 40 hours of lectures and quizzes delivered by Dr. Elaine and access to the Soil Food Web Community Forum, where you can interact with hundreds of farmers and growers from around the world. You'll also get Stage 1 of the Grower Training Program totally free, saving a further $2,000. That's 26 hours of mentor time dedicated to helping you make your own biological compost and develop your microscopy skills to the standard required to qualify as a certified Soil Food Web lab technician. You'll have the option to join our new 10-week compost intensive program, where you'll work in a cohort of 20 students through a structured weekly format, featuring live weekly lectures, followed by Q&A sessions with members of the mentoring team and additional group sessions during the week. This new cohort format is designed specifically for folks who want to work and learn in a group setting and who want the opportunity to make lifelong connections with fellow students and future colleagues. Students who have elected to take the 10-week compost intensive are making faster progress and having greater success with their compost piles because they're learning from each other's mistakes and feeling supported by the group. We've also developed a new 2-week in-person workshop designed to help folks complete their training much faster. We'll be announcing dates for more workshops in 2025 soon. So to recap, that's the foundation courses for $31.99 plus Stage 1 of the Grower Training Program worth $2,000 for free. There are only 15 places available in the 2025 registration cycle, so please don't delay. At the Soil Food Web School, we are so confident in the quality of our courses, we proudly offer a 100% risk-free guarantee. Here's how it works. From the date of your registration, you'll enjoy a 30-day window with a no questions asked money-back guarantee on the total price you paid for our courses. The only condition is that you cannot have watched more than 32 lectures of the foundation courses. Your satisfaction is our priority, and we stand behind our commitment to your success. Finance options are now available, so you can pay at your own pace with a firm. We look forward to welcoming you to the Soil Food Web community.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, a lot of information. If you need help, if you have any question, please do not hesitate to contact our team. You can go back, you can reach us on info@soilfoodweb.com and send our questions about the courses, about when and where you're going to be able to join in and find those workshops, the courses, and someone will join and help you as fast as we can. So, okay, let's see. Come on, how do I get up out of this? Just a second. My computer is acting up today. Come on. Let's
Always the
stop
way, Carla,
sharing.
isn't it?
Yeah, I think it would be faster if I stop sharing. Come on.
Great.
I'm getting there, Just a
Well,
second.
look, we've got a good bunch of time for some questions. We've got some questions coming in. So while you're doing that, do you want me to ask the first question, Carla?
Yeah, go ahead.
Brilliant. Okay, so first one to Sue. Have members of the ICAL made biocomplete using animal manure? Is it purely animal manure you're using?
Not purely. They're doing it according to the way we've been teaching them recipes, according to the way I've learned, where we're using the animal manures just as the party food, and then using the green manure and the green and the greens and the browns. So what I start the students off on is 10%, 30, 60, and then they work out what's happening, what that works out to be with materials that they have. One of the challenges we have is that most don't have thermometers. So what I teach in my course is that if you have any other agricultural implements that you've bought, you've got to start considering that thermometers are as good as any other implement, if not one of the most important, so that you can really manage those temperatures.
And do that, just a quick follow-up to that, if I may. What types of farming systems use the biocomplete compost? Is it everyone?
For those of my students, their systems are everything from medium to smallholder size plots. Many of it is very diverse poly growing systems.
Yep.
So almost like regen there, but regen that has been influenced by big ag, because most of the supportive systems around are synthetic fertilizer, pesticide based, and most of the extension service has been trained in that direction. But most of the food production systems are poly growing systems.
Yep.
So it's just that extra link now of saying, okay, you're halfway there, you're mostly there.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, so our next question, feel free to start answering in which order you guys feel, jump in, raise your hands. It's from Ruth. Thank you for your question. Did you all have educational background in soil/agriculture? If not, what or how was this transition experience for you? Who wants to start?
I'll start. No, I was a gardener just in my own backyard. I'm a lawyer and data scientist, and so the soil food web is rooted in logic and data, and so it's just a really fit my natural tendencies, and it's so accessible, it's so understandable, it's so well explained, and it's thorough and it's complete and it makes sense. It was very easy to transition into this mindset.
Okay, who's next? So you have your microphone open. Do you want to go?
Okay, sure. Yeah, no, I had no agricultural training. I got into agriculture because I saw a market on the product in the market in the shelves in South Africa that I thought, and I saw the system of producing it in hydroponics. I thought this is such a great way of producing a lot of food in an intense system. Let's take that to our high density areas in Kenya. Came back, and this was completely different to what I know now about soils. This was soil-less production, which required much more knowledge, and the failings were that much faster, which was a good thing because the entire system failed. And then I sat there thinking, I got to start teaching myself. Where do I start? So I started seeking out information. There was very little in country at the time. I did manage to get the Soil Association's standard from the UK. So their Bible, that was my Bible. I basically knew what not to do, but I didn't really know what to do. And it was through those frustrations and learnings that I thought, we can't depend on food systems in our countries like this. If it's so difficult for me, how much more difficult is it for everybody else? And that's what then started me on the journey of experimenting, getting a hold of knowledge like this as much as I can from anywhere and packaging it together so that other people can learning from them, bringing that back in, refining it. But yeah, no formal education in agriculture. Well, formal until I started the Soil Food Web, because I do consider that to be fairly formal because it's intense and it's fabulous.
Well, Sue, that's right, because it's better than some agriculture colleges are teaching, certainly in the UK at the moment.
You know, Nick, I have a lot of students in my class now who are actually from university. I was surprised that some university professors took my course and now have their students joining in. And oftentimes they're saying, why isn't this being taught? Where are we supposed to learn about this stuff? And and as I explained to my team the other day, we've also had some students now who are saying, will you come to our universities to these dates and do this? And I'm like, the students are going to open the doors into the universities to change that thinking. If it doesn't happen at the top, it'll happen from the ground up, from the students up, etc.
Yeah, I did my PhD in one college that Dr. Elaine was a professor, and they just took that out of the grade. So I didn't even have the chance to hear about that when doing PhD. So this is how the traditional ag mindset is so settled down in the programs. And it's beautiful to see that you guys are helping us change the mindset. It's just like, have no words to thank each one of you because it's the only way that we can really change the system, right? I think that Robin was the one that presented the change mindset to us, and that's spot on. Marina, I know that you talk a little bit about your background. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah, it's what I said. My university degree is on journalism, and then I went to the countryside to live like a farmer. But I didn't have any. My experience, my insight to do that is because I had some experience with agroecology. We have here in Brazil a lot of movements that follow this agroecology approach, which is founded in some universities. They have this course agroecology, which is not agronomy. Agronomy here is very dedicated to the business, and so it's just like pesticides and toxic chemicals, just about that. I wanted to do to go to former school and to the university and try to do agronomy, but people didn't advise me. That is why the people that I know and they said you don't need this kind of course, because you know a lot already. What you need is different, and I think I found what I needed when I entered the Soil Food Web School, because then I got the knowledge I really wanted to I really needed to go deeper. The agronomy course would not give it to me, I think.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. Like a huge country like Brazil, like US, the agronomy is really dedicated to large scale business, and we're going to change the system down up. That's what we're doing here. So thank you, Marina. Dora, do you want to complement anything from your beautiful presentation?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, I mean, knowledge is available to anyone that has internet, and all of the, and the books are also available. So I think when a person is willing to learn, it's, I guess for me, I'm privileged to do that. I'm very curious, and I'm learning and buying books and trying to know as much as possible. And of course, I also need, I very early realized I had to also be very practical. So I had to have a lot of practice in growing food, in understanding this, to learn by doing, understanding the soil and the plants and growing and circle of life, I guess, by working with the plants and the animals and things like that. So I was just, you know, for the last 17 years, I just went on an organic trajectory of learning deep and wide as I wanted to, thankfully. Yes.
Thank you. So, Nick, I think the next question complements the first one. Do you think that you want to take a lead on this one?
Yeah, that was kind of what I was aiming on. I do apologize for jumping the gun here, Sue. So, yeah, following on from what I said, we'll just add a couple more bits to it. Does anyone use biocomplete compost to inoculate seeds? That's something that we're doing in the UK, and it was a question I was going to ask all of you, really, whether it's just applications on soil or whether you start to look at inoculating seeds.
We do have some people, my students are inoculating seeds. And today, I'm not sure if he's in the group here. I've just, one of my current class, we were talking about, because my class yesterday went through making extracts. And he sent me videos of the machinery that he's using to already make. He's making vermiculture and compost extracts and spraying them out in the field, and wanted to have a proof system of doing that. So I think that it's slowly beginning to come in through the training, from the experimentation. A lot of it is around the experimentation, different people in different places. But I think that.
Sorry. I was going to say, have they actually applied some with seeds and seen the difference by applying on seed versus no application of seed yet?
I haven't had any report that back to me, but it would be interesting to see if anybody in the audience here from iCow has done that and put that in the chat, because you guys have been doing a lot of the experimenting on your farms. So
be lovely to hear if they have. Be great. Can we share that question to the other panelists, Carla? Carla, can we share that to the others as well? Dora, have you done any experiments with carrots as well?
Can you see my screen or not yet?
Yep. So the question is whether I use the biocomplete compost to inoculate seeds.
Yeah, have you done that with your carrots?
For the seed. Yes, I did that, and that's every time I use the seed coating, I have seen a good result. So in opposed to the control.
Brilliant.
Yes. Yes.
Can I ask a question? Dora, you coated the seeds and then you dried them. Did you dry them so that they were easier to spread? How long did you dry them for?
Yes, they need to be dried if you're going to use the seed, the seeder of any kind. The seeds have to be relatively dry. So basically you have to dry them. And when we say, yes, inoculate or coat the seeds, I was actually spraying them, you know, like on the surface. So I would put them on the like a flat surface in a shady area. So I would spray them with the compost extract, shuffle them around to make sure that everything is really well covered, spray again, and then leave it to dry. And then when it's dry, of course, make sure that everything is equally dry again, because it's not easy. Sometimes you can make a really bad mistake of, you know, kind of creating a moldy seeds, and then you destroy them. But yeah, it's very important to be careful when doing that. But it's in my opinion, that's a really good way to start your plants, you know, to give them a little you know, boost of so that something is already waiting on the other side when the seed sprouts. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't have how to do this preparation, the coating of the seed, you can always, when planting, come with a nice drench of extract, because some people don't have the space to dry or to store. So it will deliver similar boost as drying and coating and drying the seeds.
And I've had a bit of experience with the drying and the drenching, and I'm certainly a great fan of the drenching rather than the drying, because I feel you over that drying period, you certainly in the experiments I've done, I seem to lose biology, and by doing it as a drench, you're getting great biocomplete extracts straight onto those seeds, and as Dora said, around that seed through the soil. So it's great. But Robin, do you do the same? Do you drench or do you inoculate anything?
We do, as a matter of course, and I just wrote that this year I think I'm going to do an experiment and compare outcomes, because we just did it as a matter of course. And I want to emphasize what Dora just said, is the drying period is important. You got to kind of like rotate them, because one year the bottom stayed wet too long, and so the live microbes, they started eating the seed, and hemp seed is expensive, and so like I had damaged seeds because of the drying process. So that's just a caveat. I think we're going to do some research this year to see the difference, do some trials. But yeah, we do that. Just adding microbes every step of the way. We also spray the seedlings before we transplant them out, top to bottom with extract. Just give them the best coverage you can early on, so as they grow out, it grows out with them.
Brilliant. Thanks, Robin. And Marina, do you do the same?
Not with the seeds, I haven't experienced it yet. Just with the seedlings, the root system and the first leaves. That's what we do. We just like spray it, but not with the seeds yet.
Fantastic.
If I could just jump in there as well. So Marina, same sort of thing. And there are some areas of our country that are very dry. And typically farmers are relying on rain-fed irrigation. So we normally had 2 rainy seasons a year, a long rain and a short rain. But with climate change, that's become increasingly erratic. And as we know, the rain is coming either in a very long period where we're getting floods, or a very short period. And it's very unpredictable. A lot of our seeds that have been so-called designed to be climate smart seeds, or improved seeds, as we know, stripped of the biology and produced in these ways that they're not actually that smart. I call them dumb seeds. They're struggling under this, and I think also contributing to poorer yields, etc. We do have some farmers, and I'm not sure if Maureen is in this group here. She's also one of those who got I highlight in that in my presentation. What she started doing, which is really cool. So maize is one of our staples, and we have maize that will grow over a 3-month period or 6-month. Typically, farmers plant their seeds at the beginning of the rains. So the seeds are planted out, and they then have to be in the ground for that 3-month period. But where our rains are short or long, what she's experimenting with her farmers is growing maize in seed beds with a lot of compost, and giving them 1 month with less water in a smaller environment, so that just before the rains, you plant them out at 1 month old, where they're already about 1 foot tall, but they've got the biology and everything already in their root systems, planting those out in the field. And whether if the rain is very short, they still benefit and grow. So slightly different way of using the biology in a smaller space, reducing the amount of water and getting that out. And I think that that's sort of the kinds of things that I want to start trialing with the biology, and maybe even do that as my final project, just to see, because it would be of massive impact if it in fact helps us to get yields, rather than what we're seeing, which is a lot of failed crops because of the climate issues. So use biology to underpin some of that climate resilience before we get them in the field.
And you're actually seeing that now, are you, Sue?
So Maureen has been seeing that with what she's been doing, yes.
Wow. Wow, that's great.
This seems an amazing topic for one webinar, how our systems are helping or not so much the climate changes marks. I don't know if the best word that we're seeing. So Soil Food Web staff, can we work on that for the future? So I will jump on the next question, because time is flying and I want to use those beautiful brains as much as we can. Robin, I think this starts with you, but the other presenters, if you have anything to complement, like Nick said, just jump in. How often do you harvest per year, and when did you know how to use or sell your yield or your produce? Thank you. Good question, Michael.
Yeah, so we one harvest a year. It's an annual plant. We start them indoors mid-April. They get transplanted out early June, and we harvest early to mid-October. Because of our permaculture principle mindset, we and somewhat rejection of hustle culture, we aren't inclined to have a year-round operation. And during the winter, we do the post-harvest processing. We dry it for about 10 days in our dedicated building, and then cure it for another probably month and a half. And then we begin selling the most recent crop by mid-December. And that is based on, just kind of the uniform moisture throughout the flower, and then we rest. We believe in rest during the winter period, where we are researching what we want to do, learning, what Dora was talking about, always learning, reading, planning, and resting during the winter. So we have a full annual balanced cycle. And the flower isn't the only thing we do. We grow hemp for fiber. We do education. So we it's not our only income. And I do the consulting work. So I'm able to pull off that balanced rhythm of the year.
Yeah, you have a beautiful model. Thank you, Robin, for sharing. Anyone want to talk about their model, how they plan? Okay, so we'll assume it's a no. Next question. Unless you change your idea. Sorry, you can always
I had one follow-up on that, if I may.
go for it. Go
So
for it.
Robin, have you seen an effect in your nutrient value that Dora was talking about to the hemp? Has that changed what you're trying to produce by using these biocomplete amendments versus a traditional way of making or growing hemp?
The nutrition, so that's another to do. Part of my consultant project plan to do a nutrient lab test, but our cannabis is a volatile industry, and especially in Michigan, and our lab that I trusted, that I'd worked with 5 years, closed the week I sent them my samples. I'm not kidding. And to find another, it just got kind of scrapped because I wanted to get the project done and stuff. So that's on the list of things to do this year. I have a trial section. I'm running some trials. I'm going to add the seed testing, and but I don't have data on that, but all science points to that would be the case. I would like to have some on-farm trials to demonstrate that for our own products.
Go for it, Sue.
Yeah, Robin, first of all, I love your second name, Robin Pott. It
was meant to be.
It's so fitting. It was meant to be. You were born to be in this business.
That was my born name.
Okay. So yeah. Probably I don't know about many of the other countries in Africa. I mean, you're leading. It sounds like you're leading the way in terms of cannabis and hemp production. And just keep your data ready. Right now, it's illegal in our countries. So we're all being very quiet, just listening. But you do the science, because when it becomes legal, everybody will have the science to work with because of the work that you're doing. So go for it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Legalization. Another thing I'm active in is the justice around cannabis and legalization, and restoring the harm that was done, and Last Prisoner Project, getting people out of, we still have people in prison in the United States because of cannabis, because not all the states that's still federally illegal, and there's still states that, I could go on and on and on about that part, but it's still injuring people and children and communities. There's a lot of work to be done, not just in other countries, but here in the United States.
Thank you. So next questions from Judith. Robin, how exactly do you prepare the soil and do the seeding of the hemp?
So our garden beds are no-till. We sheet mulch. We start with we mow, cardboard, commercial compost because we don't produce on a big scale, and then we inoculate commercial compost with our own biologically active compost. So that's how we begin beds. And then we use, very small handfuls of compost throughout the season with additional layers of mulch, like mowed grass early on for high nitrogen. Later in the season, we're adding more woody combinations like leaves and straw and wood chips, and that's going to feed the microbes. So we just kind of keep feeding microbes and then microbe food throughout the season. So that's how we manage our beds. There's no off the farm inputs at all. And then we start the seeds indoors. The only off the farm fertilizer we use is organic fish emulsion during the seeding stage. And so they're in their, seedling stage for about 5 to 6 weeks. And once they get their true leaves, we fertilize once a week. So, and hemp seeds are expensive. So every seed gets a lot of attention. We have to start 3 times as many as we're going to use because the genetics are wonky and unstable. And so only about a third of what we start actually go out into the field. They're strong enough to make it through a season. So we're in early days here in cannabis. I'm on the hemp side of things, and we do, when you're growing hemp for cannabinoids, it's just like marijuana, except the levels of the cannabinoids are different. And there is so much work to be done. So, but we consistently have healthy, big plants that are great producers, and we have a beautiful crop. And I just really hope that we can steer. I mean, I can influence the rest of the industry. There's just very few of us doing it this way right now.
Robin, can I
So
just quickly
if
ask
you
you?
are,
Sorry.
go ahead, Nick.
Tyler.
If you are on this industry, please reach out to Robin so you
Yes.
guys can work together and continue advocating for the good side. Nick?
Sorry, Robin, I was just going to quickly ask, did I hear you right? You say you use compost and then you apply, a biocomplete compost. Why do you use a kind of a compost, then a biocomplete compost? Why don't you just all use biocomplete compost? Or did I mishear? Sorry.
No, you heard it right. There is no large source of good compost where I'm at.
Okay.
I go around, I take like you're in a garden store, you sneak a handful and you take it home, and it's all sterile. It's really good organic material, but it's sterile. And and we can't produce, when we bought the farm our first year, we pulled in 45 yards of compost. That's like 2 dumpster trucks. And that was all sterile. So it took like 45 yards of commercial compost and maybe a yard of our compost through solid and liquid applications. And we were able to get the sterile commercial compost to a balanced FB ratio by the beginning of August in one season.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Really good news.
It's an economic. How much does it cost to ship that? Right?
Quite a bit, I'd imagine.
Right. So there's a huge need over here. It doesn't exist right now.
Thank you.
And so Dora and Marina, do you guys have any special tips or any way that you plan how you're gonna prepare your area before planting the seeds or transplanting the seedlings that you want to share?
Go on, Dora. Tell us how you prepare.
What we do at the garden, so I explained that we also coat the seeds, and when it's time to transplant the seedlings, the whole thing just gets dunked into the compost extract and then planted on the soil. This very time efficient. You just have a bucket of compost extract and you just take the seedlings and you do that. Yeah, I saw the several times the question showed up, how to fight the soft rot and why does it appear in carrots. So I didn't have enough time to explain that. But the field where the carrots have been sown has a history of a problem of kind of puddling in Finland. It's very normal that in spring or when it rains, the water from the lakes, and there are plenty of lakes, it just seeps through the soil, and then that water sometimes also creates like compaction layers as well, deeper in the ground. So this soft rot occurred when there was a really a big occurrence of heavy rain, and it just didn't drain out properly. So this is so bacteria is the problem, and anaerobic conditions. When you work on the soil structure over time, this doesn't happen. Yes.
If
Go
I
ahead,
could
Sue.
just quickly jump in about one of the things that I do, and it doesn't really make very much sense, but just before it starts raining, when it's clouding over, maybe it's going to be raining in the evening at about 3 or 4 o'clock when the temperatures are down. That's when I would use the biologicals on my plants, and then I would have it on the plants for some time, the extracts, and then let it get rained in. That doesn't glue and stick on. I prefer that. It feels right. It looks right. The plants behave better than spraying during a hot day or a very dry time.
Marina, any extras nice tip for a very dry area?
Well, now I can't find anything to say, but what I do, we do these seed balls, and because I work with restoration of degraded area, and we prefer to use the natural succession and the plants that need to grow and not what I want. So my main work is in this area, so I use hardy perennials, as I said. And sometimes I will use some perennials that are not by people from conservation. They don't like it a lot, but if you prune it in the right time, and if you don't let it grow and spread it, you can use it to cover and to produce organic matter and to recover degraded areas. Just to this kind of goal, I think it's okay to use it, this hardy perennial.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. In Brazil, we have some strict laws that when we are working in large recovering areas, we need to follow. But I'm a huge fan of the seeding balls. It's just like extra boost. So I'm excited that you're using them. So folks, like always, the time just flew by. And I just wanted to recap some few important information. Today is the last event of this webinar series where we celebrated the soil regen community. And you can go to our website, www.webinar.soilfoodweb.com, and our YouTube channel, where you can re-watch as many times as you want each and every one of the events, including past series. And share with your friends, share with people that are willing to learn more about Soil Food Web, with your family, with everyone. And I have the honor and pleasure to be part of this amazing webinar with 4 incredible women. Thank you so much for so much inspiration, for so much energy. And in the name of the Soil Food Web school, not just the staff, the amazing staff that's running this incredible background, but all our students, grateful is not enough. So thank you so much. Receive our best energy, and may the universe continue to bless your incredible work. Who said that, Nick? Do you have any final message you
Well,
wanna-
it was just an absolute privilege to be co-hosting and seeing these amazing women who are doing just some incredible stuff around the world, and all power to them. And it's great they were able to share it with the school.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow us on social media. And we, again, once more, thank you, each one of you, all our incredible staff, and Dr. Lane, because it's because of her that we are all here together, and may 2025 be even better for all of us. See you guys in the next webinar series, and have a great week.
Don't forget to
Bye.
click that like
Thank
button,
you. Bye-bye.
subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell to stay updated with all our new videos.